Now, you probably know that I'm a huge space nut. Absolutely love space. And this is a view I would love to actually see in real life. I'll never get to do it, I shouldn't think. But
Never say never.
Well, I doubt it. But our next guest has seen this very view for himself. Jon McBride, an astronaut, a NASA astronaut, who went up with STS-41G Challenger. You were the pilot, weren't you, John?
Yes.
On that mission.
Right.
I've got to say, does this view, this experience of actually being in this environment, does it ever leave you?
It doesn't. It's with you. Well, I'm one of the luckiest people in the world to have gotten the opportunity to do that. But what you see right here is just one image at 1 second out one window.
Yeah.
What you can't explain to people watching this is that I can be looking 360 and see not only the heavens, but all the earth down below, and see 1,500 miles in all directions. So it's just indescribable.
I've often wondered what it is like, that view, because you don't see it on the cameras the same, but when you are looking out into space, where the stars are there, but not twinkling, of course, because there's no atmosphere to disturb any of that. Do you get a sense of infinity with that?
I think you do more up there than you do here on Earth. But you got to consider you're going around the Earth every 90 minutes, so half that time you're behind the Earth in darkness.
Yeah.
So when you look into the heavens from the backside, the night side, it's just so cluttered with stars and things that you don't see because of the atmosphere. That it's very difficult to pick out certain stars when you're up in space, so to speak. And back on the other side of the Earth, you can see 1,500 miles in all directions, so it's just...
When we have heard accounts from astronauts, they do talk about it as a life-changing experience, and then when they're back on Earth, they are different human beings. Would you say that was your experience?
I don't think so. I wanted to be an astronaut since I was a small kid back in West Virginia and got to go do it. I felt fortunate and blessed is a good English word I like to use, to have had that opportunity to go do what I got to do. And looking back on it, I wish every kid could experience that, because it really opens up your eyes. But the most important thing for the youngsters here in England and around the world is make sure you get your education, because you can't fly for NASA, you can't do much of anything if you don't stay in school and study hard. So
yeah.
So your folks, they love you. They're not trying to punish you.
Thank you. I hope my children are listening.
It's a difficult. It has been a difficult time for NASA over the best part of a decade now. There's a lot of funding being taken away and what have you. This 50th anniversary of the moon landings, we are going to see some manned flights, aren't we, again, from...
Things are really picking up at the Kennedy Space Center.
So what can we expect to see?
Hopefully this year we're going to see a couple of manned launches, first time in many years. And we're launching almost once a month from the Kennedy Space Center, so chances are if you come visit us, you'll see a launch if you're in Florida. So we feel happy these days at the Kennedy Space Center about our space program, because we really feel it picking up and going to get us back on top here one of these days soon.
But we need to, in a sense, we've lost a little bit of that excitement, haven't we? A little bit of the thrill. I mean, certainly when the shuttle program began, and again, it sort of reinvigorated things, didn't it? We need a bit of a
resurgence.
Boost,
I feel a resurgence right now. With we haven't flown for a while, people into space from Kennedy, but now the excitement's building, and hopefully by the end of this year we will have launched another person or two people from Kennedy Space Center, and hopefully one a month for many years to come. So. And
now you have a lot of interaction with the visitor complex,
yes,
so you get to meet people on a day-to-day basis.
Complex. We get a lot of folks from UK, by the way.
Oh yeah. Well, I have to say, if you've not been and you ever think about it, it is the most amazing.
I work there. I'm still amazed at things I see when I go out to work every day.
Can I ask you about, because obviously you were pilot of Challenger, and I remember watching it as a child when the Challenger disaster happened, and being very shaken by my father, who's a big space nut like me, all completely shocked and very touched by what we saw at the Space Centre of how the crew and the mission is remembered. We can't forget, can we, that when you are getting inside one of these things, it is the most dangerous thing you can think of, isn't it?
It's risky business, but we have to train to that. And we minimize the risk by the training and the professionalism and all the great people that are helping you, backing you up, and do all that.
You guys are actually immensely brave, and your families must be immensely brave.
I don't call it brave. I call it, lucky, fortunate to have had the opportunity to do it. And something I dreamt of when I was a young man, I actually got to go do it.
But knowing the risks, knowing the risk that you're stepping into.
I'm a Navy
It is
fighter
brave.
pilot. I've got 600 carrier landings in combat time and all those kind of things. So to me, the things I did to prepare myself to go to NASA to fly space shuttles was probably more risky and dangerous than what I actually did in space.
Yeah.
But you feel with the thousands of people backing you up on the ground and the great crew members you have on board, and all of us are trained to do each other's jobs. And
I guess you've seen it.
Invincible is a close word, but you don't ever want to use that one.
I mean, you were Capcom for several missions, weren't
Several
you?
times, yes.
So I mean, that
Most of the astronauts, the capsule communicator talking from the Houston Control
Yeah.
Center before you go fly yourself.
Right.
Gives you a better idea what's going on up there when you're in the control center.
Can I ask you about the launch experience? Because I mean, it's because I've been to Kennedy. You know, I've been in the simulator, which I found absolutely amazing and actually
I think
surprisingly
when you come
scary.
to Kennedy and you experience the launch experience, that's about as close as you're going to get. The
Is
only
it
thing
pretty close?
We can't accelerate you up to 3 times the force of gravity, obviously,
Yeah.
but we do put you in a vertical position, give you the lift-off sensation. So, to me, I wrote it again this week, and it's just about as good as it gets. I was helped in the design team, so we made sure
really?
it was really a factual representation of what it's like to launch without actually launching, but it's pretty realistic.
And when you do launch, what is going through your mind when you're just about to make that journey? What do you think of?
I get asked that question occasionally. I keep thinking, remember your training, all those things remember all the hours you spent in the simulator? There's a reason you did that, because now when we lift off, you feel like you're confident enough to handle anything that may pop up.
I have to say, oddly enough, I've been watching a lot of launches on YouTube lately. I mean, it's the sort of idiot I am, John. I watch a lot of these things on YouTube. It always astounds me that you get up there in 8 minutes.
8.5 minutes.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
And what you don't realize, or probably never thought of, but it's a slow build-up. When we're on our back in one gravity, when we lift off, the engines are accelerating us, so we start being pushed into our seats. And the faster we go, the lighter we get, so you increase the G-forces through your chest, pushing your back into the seat. We get up to 3 times the force of gravity at about 6 minutes into the launch. So for about 3 minutes afterwards, we're continuing on to 3 times the force of gravity, which I call it belabored breathing. You really got to force your lungs full of air, and then as soon as you relax, they're empty.
Wow.
So then when the engine shut down at 8.5 minutes in the shuttle, it's just automatically you get thrown forward. If you didn't have your seat belts on, you'd be slammed into the instrument panel. So it's a pretty stark shutdown.
And there is a physiological change in your body once you have been into.
Well, first thing that happens when you get into space, there's no gravity, so you lose all sense of balance and direction. And I grew 2 inches in height.
Grew?
Because there's no pressure on your spinal column and other joints, so you get taller or longer, I guess, in space.
If we need to send you up there, you'd be 5'5".
And you lose, I lost about 8 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of sort of muscle mass and things.
No, it's but mainly water.
When
When you're in
right.
space, you don't need all the water that is pulled down here into the lower extremities by gravity. So the body senses way too much water content, so you go to the bathroom continually almost, it feels like, for the first couple of days. So I lost about 8 pounds of body fluid.
And is that height retained?
No, people wish it were, but when you get back to gravity, it pulls you back down to normal. But
Straight
it's
you
great
back.
spinal therapy. You know, if you have
Yeah.
a sore back, you get this nice gentle decompression for several days of the spinal column and a nice gentle recompression. So it really is fantastic. So we've got a few $1 million on a bad back.
Oh, I wish. I wish. Look, I hate to say it, we are out of time. John, can I just say...
My pleasure.
It's an
Thank you so
absolute
much.
delight to
Lovely
see
to
you.
meet
Thank
you.
you very much.
Very much.
indeed.
Come see us at Kennedy.
Oh, I'm booking
He's
my
been, I
ticket.
haven't been yet. I've got to
Oh,
You need to come. I'll show you around personally.
Oh, now
And
that's an offer.
It's my big
That's-
birthday. It's my big birthday on the 20th
Oh, yes, she
of
was
July.
born on the day of the moon landings.
Wow.
20th of July,
Wow,
1969.
wow. Neat.
So, right.
I'm lucky I got to know all those guys.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, we could
Oh.
talk for hours.
Oh, don't go anywhere. Okay, a quick check on the sport for you.